to make sure
At the
you know
same game.
all the kids are safe and everyone's having a good time. And so yeah, it's pretty cool. So we get it for
So
free.
what time did you get?
We go there at 5:30.
What time do you guys get out?
We get to leave 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so we can beat all the traffic. Actually, so they got us covered.
Nice.
That's so we don't get trampled when they rush the field.
Well,
you know
that's
what I
what
mean?
I'm thinking. I'm like, I feel like your most important time is that last bit.
We're not supposed to stop them when they rush the field. We're supposed to let them. We're supposed to encourage them not to. So like me and my front row, all my homies, we tell them, no, we can't rush the field. It's $100,000 fine.
Is it really?
I don't know if they do, especially against Coach Prime. But when we tore down the field goal, I heard that was a pretty big fine.
Okay, I'm sorry, but it was Boulder that ran the field goal to like the.
Oh, no, there's another school.
That was a different school.
That went viral.
What was that school? I think that was Boulder for some
That's
reason.
a school, Texas. I'm not
You
sure.
might be right.
But no, I was like, we should have done that because we could carry it to the creek and everything. I can't say much. We wear big like windbreakers that say student pastor and all that.
Oh.
And that for the one who watched the end of it, and then the one I'd like put in my pocket because I throw in the field too. And if I throw in the field, they catch me. Let me mute this. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So you guys should be all set to go. Let's make sure everything's up. Awesome. I don't want to put you guys by the schedule, so. I know, the laptop broke, so this is a new laptop. Should work better for you guys. So we'll use it.
Oh. All right, everyone, we'll get started with this session. So I am with the Tall Tales Coffee Company. I'm the program manager, with this program, and then Andrew's one of our awesome employees. So if any of you got coffee today, you got to, try our product. There we go. Try our product as well as, see some of our employees in action. And so, yeah, we're all about creating and sustaining jobs for people with IDD. I won't go too much into this, because I'm sure all of you were in the session where our executive director, Laura McKenna, really dove into what Tall Tales Ranch is. But the Tall Tales Coffee Company is a program within the nonprofit Tall Tales Ranch, where we're building that inclusive community in Lone Tree, Colorado, off by 25 Bridge Gate. So if you know the Cabela's there, you know where we are. So that will be apartment units, a community run barn, a coffee shop, and an internal community resource center, all to provide those opportunities of housing, employment, and social opportunities for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so, you know, as we were building out this community, raising funds, I know Laura talked about the fundraising aspect of it. We saw that there was an immediate need to employ these really deserving individuals, and there weren't many opportunities for them. So we, some of the need highlighted here, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but of course, the US is facing a historic labor shortage. Where there just aren't enough employees to fill the roles for companies. On the flip side of it, there's an entire population, adults with IDD, that are completely underemployed or unemployed, even though they're more than capable and willing to work. So like I said, we started the Tall Tales Coffee Company. Not sure why I overlapped at the time. But we started it in 2022 when we saw just an urgent need to find jobs and opportunities for these individuals, as well as vocational training and just hands-on experience. So we started this with a mobile operation. We'll have that brick and mortar coffee shop at our community in Lone Tree, but we started with our mobile operation. We have a mobile coffee trailer, operates just like a food truck. We provide a full coffee menu, so anything you can get in my coffee shop, you can get with us. And then we have indoor catering, as you see today, and online coffee sales. Through this, we've provided 20 individuals with an opportunity with employment, as well as one-to-one job coaching, vocational training, and they're paid an hourly wage. And so far, we've had a 100% retention rate of employees, which we did this speech earlier, so I know Sam here is gonna go into just how that's so often the case with retention rates. And we've had a 25% increase in employment opportunities this year, but we still have individuals on the wait list to get employment. As I said, Andrew's one of my employees here, so I'm gonna give him an opportunity to share why he wants to work and some things he's also learned while working with the Tall Tales Coffee Company.
All right, so learning with the coffee company, gotta be time management, and I want a long-term job for intellectual disability people. And my favorite part of the coffee company is being the yelling out orders. And then when we live there, excited to live with our near friends and hang out and learn how to cook, and then we'll have a karaoke, hopefully.
One of the things he did mention, but I know he put on talking points that he talked with me earlier was just the desire for independence, and how important that is to him. And he did highlight a lot of the social importance, and that's one of my favorite parts about the the coffee company and our coffee trailer and our team is that, these individuals that are working, they have a really great opportunity, a social opportunity. So they get to interact with their other coworkers with IDD, as well as, we do that one-to-one job coaching, oftentimes, staffed by volunteers that are neurotypical. So he gets to, hang out with them as well. And I know those are some of his best friends. He just was FaceTiming one of them earlier to say hi to his 1-year-old daughter. So yeah, just a lot of awesome social opportunities. And then you can read some quotes here. I won't waste your time reading them, but to see some success stories from our program, from different parents and, and some of our employees directly. We've had, I mentioned we had a 100% retention rate, but we also have had other great success metrics. Most of our individuals have felt an increase in their life purpose when they have a job. They feel valued and have an increase in self-worth. They feel less isolated socially, a decrease in stress and anxiety, and they feel that they have gained a support network with our program. We've also seen that 100% of our employees and their caregivers have increased, or have said that the participants have increased their quality of life and increased their independence. So what we've really seen is an increase in independence in many areas of their lives, not just on the job. And they are incredible employees as well. And just, highlighting what the participants have felt is oftentimes, what we gain from a job as well. So it's great for them to have that opportunity. So, again, Laura highlighted a lot of this, but our next phase is that community resource center, which will, this is our community and the resource center, that blue building in the center between the apartment buildings over there. That resource center will really be a hub for more employment opportunities. Again, there's been a strong need, even as we're providing employment, we have consistent requests for more employment opportunities, more hours, more jobs available. So we really see this community resource center in the next year being the way that we expand. So it'll expand the Tall Tales Coffee Company, just allowing us to be offering more employment, as well as giving more hours and that stuff. Pre-vocational training, as well as workforce connection. So we see that as connecting our employees with companies out in the community that need employees. And that'll give us the opportunity to help our employees find jobs that they're passionate about. Us in this room, a lot of us get to choose what we're passionate about to do as a job, and they deserve to as well. So we want to connect them, and then some life skills training to help them gain independence out of living independently, as well as gain independence on the job. And then this is just highlighting that we will have a brick and mortar coffee shop in the next few years here at that community. So I won't dive too much more into that, just since you all heard Laura talk about that, but that's the future and we're really excited about it. So I can open it up to questions. Yes.
Since this is a building you're planning to build, or this community, where are you providing your employment services now? Are you out in the community?
Yeah, so that mobile coffee trailer that we have is kind of the main source for indoor catering, as well as we do in-office work. We have a small office in Inglewood, that we do like grinding the coffee packaging and shipping it out, that sort of stuff. But then, yeah, our coffee trailer, we go around to events, businesses, venues. As we said, anywhere and everywhere. Anywhere we're invited, we go. So, pretty consistently out there with events, and so that's how we're providing it, yeah. So it's really hands-on, real life opportunities. And going off of that, it's been really cool just to see how the community is so open to what we're providing. That's probably my favorite part of the job, is so often when we're out and about, in the community, it's not with people that know much about this population, and they are amazed. It might be their first interaction with someone with IBD, something like that, And they often have, I mean, each time we go out, I have 5 conversations with people saying like, wow, this really changed my perception and I want to do this. How can I integrate this into my business or my community, stuff like that. So that's been really cool to be all over with that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Yeah.
What percentage of the program is grant funded versus supported by sales and, coffee truck appearances?
You're putting me on the spot with percentage here. Yeah, that's a good question. We've had really great grant funding, so obviously to start it was 100% grant funding. Now it's probably, we typically work on more of a sponsorship model, so it's not like at a farmer's market type thing where we do a couple of those where someone is actually like paying per cup. We typically like businesses sponsor us to come out and hand out free drinks to their employees or customer clients or whatever. Right now, probably 50-50. Yeah. Yeah, grant funders are really excited about this program and the workforce opportunities, but then, yeah, sponsorship coming in other areas, yeah.
Yeah, do you use any of this state like waiver billing? Are you billing for like job coaching or any of that type of funding sources?
No, right now we're, not funding for any of that, so we're just paying employees based off of grant funding and, sales. Any questions? All right. And Andrew has another cool job. I'm running out to get up to his mom to go to his other cool job. He gets to work at the Avalanche game tonight.
Oh.
So I thought you all would appreciate that when it's an opportunity that.
And they're winning now.
Yeah.
This is yours.
Oh. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me see if I can get to where I need to be.
It's not you.
No, I'd love to go by the doctor model. I just want to say, while I'm doing this, I work for an electronics recycling company. I'm not an IT person.
Do this. I know, you're not the first person to have a glitch, so.
It will not be the last time either. All right. So I'm going to kind of change it up a little bit from the session this morning. So I just delved into a little bit of the backstory. We have an amazing origin story of Blue Star, but just to keep this kind of succinct, I just wanted to talk about what we do, why it's really a great option for folks on the autistic spectrum and just really across the board. And what I've seen over the past 10 years of having a bunch of employees that are looking to be fully independent, or at least move out of their parents' house, right? So one little backstory I'll give you is, so this whole thing was started 15 years ago by my father, and he had been in the telecom industry for 35 plus years and wanted to do something of value. And my uncle, his brother, had developmental disability, lived in Seattle, never had the opportunity to have, what we call meaningful work. He bagged groceries here and there, but never had a job with a community or a culture that was, going to lead to any kind of success. So he came across 4 guys in the back of a day program that were taking apart electronics, and they were never told how to do this. They were taking the components and taking the components and breaking them down and into their subcategories. And when he asked them, well, where did this come from? They said, well, I've always been taking apart stuff. And So it's just kind of a natural thing. And based on that discovery, he went home and drafted up a business plan, and the rest is history. We had some serendipitous stuff across the way where we met our founders, Tony and Mary Fanant. But it was just that discovery that these guys have marketable skill. This is not some sort of form of philanthropy. We did not start Blue Star because, well, we're just going to create a place where people can work. This is, and especially in our industry, it's been proven year after year after year that these are just far superior employees across the board. And I'll get into that a little bit later here. Now, the top part is probably numbers that everyone is seeing, right? We know that there's a huge issue, especially when kids age out of their transitions programs and go home and sit. That's a dark place because it's so hard to get them back to work if they don't have that transition directly from school. And that's what we try to do all over the country, is to set up, as Emma brought up, every company is dealing with a labor shortage and they need reliable employees. And you'll see here in a little bit that we check every single box when it comes to lost time accidents, absenteeism, task engagement on what they're doing. And it's the kind of thing that finally, after preaching about this stuff for years and years and years, out of necessity, these employers are listening. And they're having the same success that we do. So it was kind of a twofold mission. We're very passionate about the environment as well. So we have these two things line up really well, because 80% of the e-waste that's coming, that we're generating, is not being recycled. And if it is being recycled, it's not being recycled ethically. So it's going to end up in a landfill or worse, overseas, the developing countries. And it's something that surprisingly a lot of our employees take a lot of pride in that piece of what we do. So we've had 9 News come through the Denver plan, and they'll say, well, we're saving the world, and they're on the way we are. So this has gone down a little bit, but you asked some questions about self-sustainability. So up until COVID especially, we paid for all of our expenses through front-end fees. And then we were able to use grants for expansion. After COVID, post-COVID, we kind of had, we had just opened multiple locations. We had one in Chicago that opened 3 days after COVID hit. So that was a disaster in its own right. But even so, even now, we're still supporting about 85% of our of all of our expenses through front-end fees, and are able to use our grant funding for programs such as the one that we're doing across the country to create jobs indirectly. Direct expansion is just a little too scary still right now. So these numbers are slightly old, but we're up to about 40 million pounds recycled, about 25 million earned, and then that 100 people, direct employment and indirect. We actually, just this year, we had 60 people hired across the country through the programs that we're doing with employers and school districts. And so this is really so important to what we do, is that it's just, and what we try and tell employers whenever they come in for tours, which I encourage anyone that wants to know more about what we do, please let me know if you want to come in and see what we do, see what this looks like in practice. But it's really simple. About the only accommodation that we make is that we don't do a standard sit across the table, what's your life story interview. We do it's just a working interview. We go through every scope of work that we have within the warehouse and what fits. And sometimes it doesn't fit, but for the most part, especially parents will always tell us like, oh, my guy's been taking apart my electronics for, the last 20 years. So please give him an outlet. So this is really the meat of what I was talking about and why it's so important that these folks get a chance to be employed, because this is insane. I mean, especially in our industry where a lot of the jobs are repetitive task, same thing every day. Neurotypicals hate that. And the shelf life is about 2 weeks until they want to leave. Now, it's exactly the opposite, especially for people on the autistic spectrum. That's their wheelhouse. That's where I feel comfortable because I know what to expect. So I've got guys that have been with us 10 years that are still eclipsing their goal every day. That's unheard of. And one thing that we always tell employers too is a little bit longer ramp up for training, right? But then you have an employee for life. And then the 98% task engagement, I always have to bring that one up because when CU came down to our Colorado Springs location and did a 3-month study, they joked that it would have been 100% if we didn't bother, right? Because, the moment they clock in, they're working and they're waiting by there's a line of 6 guys at 12 after lunch to, get right back on the clock. And there's no Facebook or ESPN or any of that stuff, right? It's just time to work. So this is really just kind of expanding on that, but, the lost time accidents is a big one I didn't touch on in the last session, but, it's amazing because that's something that I get asked all the time. Well, you probably have a lot of accidents. And I say, yes, but it's all my management staff and myself. Okay, when we teach, folks with any kind of disability, they pay attention in the classes, whether it's driving a forklift or using a pallet jack, or having eye protection and hand protection. And it's not something that you're constantly retraining. When COVID hit, there was no long conversations about, please wear your mask. It was just, oh, you want me to wear a mask? I'm gonna wear a mask. And then all the management employees, including myself, had it around their neck and I'm getting called out every day by my, like, you're supposed to be wearing your mask. And again, just the meaningful work is so important to me personally because it's easier to find a job, but it's I think, and I agree with Temple Grandin that find that first job. Don't worry about what that is, but eventually everyone needs to find their place. And the reason that I'm so excited about this and the work that Em is doing with Tall Tales is because I truly believe that that is the setting where this works, whether it's a campus or just everything living organically, where they go to work and they have their housing close by, where you don't have to deal with public transportation, except for when you want to go out and hang out. But the bigger piece of this to me is whenever we opened a new location, the break room at lunch was, it was just pin drop, right? And nobody talked to each other. And we tried all these things to facilitate conversations, and we knew they were like-minded, and it just, one day it happens organically. Somebody opens their mouth, and now you can't shut them up when we go, I'll have a tour going through and we've got 40 guys just all chattering, and that's success. And then that transfers over to when they go home, and then they have that group of people that they can, that they're already comfortable. That's all I have. Any questions from you guys? Good.
So I work for a CASA out in Lafayette, and we're kind of struggling to find meaningful employment. We're going through with our clients a lot of the DDR and supported employment. But some of the options are just kind of like you're saying, they're not unique enough or not meaningful enough to some of our clients. So I'm always looking for companies exactly like this, that we can connect and partner. How do I find those? How do I find you guys in my area too? How do I keep my eyes open as someone in a CASA or community members doing this?
It's a good question. I think that there's a lot of options out there, but there's really not one place you can go to find it, right? So it's always, these things are great because you can meet people and they know people, and that's kind of how this works, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you're in the right spot. I think Colorado right now is, a lot of people say that, but what I've seen just in the last 5 years has been incredible. And Amanda can talk about the Colorado Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce, and so we're making these steps in the right direction. We just got to continue it. We need to keep meeting like this and making sure that we're actually taking these ideas to fruition instead of, because in just 10 years of doing this, I've been excited so many times just to have the ground pulled out from underneath me, right? So, but yeah, I think there's more and more people that are doing that right, and it's top of mind. I mean, we all want to find that job that's perfect for ourselves, but I truly think that the community is such a big piece of that, and the culture within the business, that we can make anything fun as long as it's something that fits the skill set. Good.
Are you familiar with sustainability, the organization in Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm gathering, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I'm very familiar with how sustainability kind of runs their programming, and it sounds like from what you're doing, it's very different. And that, do you guys have job coaches, and are you a vendor from any of any sorts? Or is your income coming in solely from people paying for their recycled fees?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and that's a big piece of this, right? Is that I don't have any ill will towards people that use that, but I just it's kind of against what I preach, which is that they're better employees. Why would I not pay them the same wage that I would pay anybody else? So the problem that I come into contact with more than anything is just dealing with SSDI barriers, right? Where I got an employee that's amazing that could easily go to full time, but it's like, do I give up the benefits and try this out on a hunch? So that's really where it's tough for us. But and honestly, a lot of people in Denver are complaining about minimum wage going up and up and up, but it's still not enough for somebody to live on their own, even if they're able to. All right. Thank you so much.
Let's see if I can make this work for myself. Hi, everyone. We changed the order of our presenters, so our slides are backwards, so sorry about that. I'm Amanda, and I am the president and CEO of Firefly Autism, and I'm also one of the co-founders of the Colorado Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce. For purposes of clarity, I'll talk about Firefly first really quickly, but then I'll transition into talking about the Chamber of Commerce. They didn't do a great job of that last time, so there's a bit of confusion. So Firefly Autism is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for 21 years, and we provide a pretty broad range of support and services for individuals on the autism spectrum. I think in general, Firefly is probably known for providing pretty high support needs. And we do have a transition to work program, and any of our learners between the ages of 16 and 21 can engage in our transition to work program. That is a really important part of what we do because it's where we built a ton of partnerships. And one of those partnerships was with Blue Star Recycling. We have our own little mini Blue Star Recycling room in our location in Lakewood, which is incredible. We love our Blue Star relationship. And we also created a lot of the relationships with about 12 other different community organizations across Colorado. So, places like food security organizations, our learners get to not only do things with electronics recycling, but they do food prep, work at grocery stores, work at libraries, things like that. So the partnership piece is, I think, what is truly really important. And when we talk about community, right, you can think of it as a physical space, but I think when we talk about it, we conceptualize it as a community that we can depend on one another, we can refer to one another. I see lots of friendly faces in this room, and it's so nice to know that if someone comes to me at Firefly and says, I need something, and I'm like, well, Firefly can't do it, but I sure as heck know someone who can. And that for me is so important. That's what I think that we need in this space, is a sense of community and knowing that we can come together. So I'll transition now to talk about general commerce. I also do one member there. So, Broomfield Housing Alliance is a proud member of the Colorado Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce. And we, so the Colorado Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce is the first Chamber of Commerce in the United States to advance neurodivergent individuals in business and in leadership and in the workforce. We founded 2 years ago, and as recently as last week, I could say that we were the only neurodiversity chamber of commerce in the US, but we did consult with some wonderful people from Georgia about 6 months ago, and they just founded the Georgia Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce. So that is very exciting. We want to see more of that. So in terms of terminology, is always very important. So we know that our neurodivergent individuals like the terms like neurodivergent and neurodistinct or neurospicy. And when we're talking about neurodiversity or things being neurodiverse, we mean that there are individuals who are neurotypical and neurodivergent working together. So with our Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce, it's majority representation by neurodivergent individuals, but we do have some neurotypical folks who work together with the whole team to really advance neurodiversity in business and in leadership. So and when I talk about neurodiversity and neurodivergent individuals, I'm not just talking about individuals with autism, right? I'm talking about individuals who are dyslexic, who have ADHD, who are on the spectrum, who have significant depression, anxiety, anything that makes somebody think and learn differently. And we have a lot, about 1 in 20 individuals, more recent years identified as neurodivergent, so a huge portion of the population. And what we also know is, I can't remember where all my stats are, so I'll just kind of talk through them, but we also know that lots of people who identify as neurodivergent have a really hard time in the workplace. They feel like they can't disclose that they might be neurodivergent. I worked with a wonderful woman who did a panel for our Chamber of Commerce, and she is an engineer, and she said that she's been closeted autistic because she feels she cannot be herself at work, and she fears that if her bosses knew she was autistic, that she would get fired. So, I mean, we can do better. It's 2024. And I think another thing for us is that the neurodiversity piece has really been missing from the diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations. And what's been really great and calls for optimism, to Sam's point, Colorado is a great place to be, is that a lot of companies are now starting to realize we need to start thinking about neuro-inclusion. We have so many individuals, like we already have employees who are neurodivergent. So we need to start thinking about how to make our workplace a place where they want to be and where people are not burned out and turning over and quitting their jobs because they're in an impossible environment. This study is from 2024, and it's crazy to think that almost 60% of the 2,000 plus US people surveyed in this study really fear that if they disclose, something negative will happen. And it's not just being fired. It's not being promoted. It's being treated differently by your employee or by your peers, or by your employers, and not knowing where to go if you do want to ask for support. And honestly, people who have asked for support or accommodations get treated a lot differently. And it's not everywhere, but it's happening enough that it's definitely something that we need to address and discuss. I I think Sam and Emma, I mean, we all know what the benefits of hiring neurodivergent individuals and having neurodiverse teams, right? I think, you know, people sometimes ask, so my co-founders at the Chamber of Commerce, so one is Danny Combs, he's the executive director of teaching TACT, teaching the autism community trades, and then Tiffany Feingold, she runs an organization called Guiding Bright Minds. And the three of us, our brains are very different, but we get a lot done because we all have these different strengths and skill sets, and they're way more creative than I am. But you know, I love a good spreadsheet, and that works really, really well. So neurodiverse teams are really important. And you know, if you look at any of the stats from Schwab or Google or any of the really kind of leaders in neurodiversity employment, you'll see that neurodiverse teams get a lot more done. So it affects people's bottom lines in a positive way as well. One of the things that we talk about and that we do a lot of training on at the Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce is the access barriers to people actually, neurodivergent individuals even getting into jobs. And the recruitment piece of that is huge. So think about job descriptions, and I talk about job descriptions a lot. If you're putting out a job description and that job description says something like excellent communication skills required, but you don't actually need excellent communication skills for the job, you're cutting out a ton of neurodivergent people who will read that job description and go, that's not me, I'm not even going to apply. And we worked with Denver International Airport, who were opening an internship program, and they said, can you guys take a look at our job descriptions? So we did, and we were looking at like every single job description. It was standard, right? City and County Denver, standard job description. They all said excellent communication skills required. And the job we were looking at was for an airplane mechanic. And I said, is this a customer facing role? No. Do you need like interpersonal skills for this? No. Like, what is it you need? Well, you need to be a mechanic. Okay, well, would you guys consider taking that out? And they did. They said, you guys are right. We can't believe we're cutting out a huge number of neurodivergent interns that would actually be interested in being an airplane mechanic, because they would read that and say, that's not me, I can't apply for that job. So that's just a really small example, and kudos to them for changing that, because that's pretty amazing. And then, you know, you think about the interview portion, just from start to finish, there's so many things that we can do better. Sam talked about the work-based interviews, that's really important. You know, we had one of our autistic members, and he said he went to a job interview, and somebody said, oh, tell me about yourself. He's like, and you want to know, like, you know, what grade school was like, you know, what my special interest is, or do you need, you know, so it's just very specific, so making sure that we're thinking more about the interview processes. And then, of course, onboarding, retention, the physical space. And it seems overwhelming when you, I think for larger businesses who've been around for a very long time and might have like 1,000 employees, they go, oh man, this is going to be a big overhaul. I'm almost like, you know, they're envious of the startups where they can get right from the beginning. But it is small changes over time that make a difference. One of the coolest things that I've seen over the last 2 years is the number of very large corporations in banking, finance, construction, IT, an audit firm who have ability resource groups. So employee resource groups, but they're calling them ability resource groups. So employee resource groups specifically focused on having a neuro-inclusive environment for their employees, and who are also supporting one another because, you know, people have neurodivergent children and they want a better life for their kids when they get older. And one of the greatest ERGs I've heard of, it's called Minds of All Kinds. So I think that they're called the MOAC Employee Resource Group, which is just amazing. So there's all these kind of positive signs that people are thinking it's really important for us to, again, like if you've got a kid who's in school, you're trying to navigate the school system and college, and then what? We want our employers to understand how important neuro-inclusion is so that our kids can have careers and not be faced with this unemployment and underemployment and therefore lack of housing that they're experiencing right now. So it all fits together. Just some snippets in terms of what people really want us to know. Direct and objective feedback is really, really important. I think even for me, I mean, I've learned so much as well, the setting really clear expectations at the start and then giving really clear directive feedback is the crucial piece. And sometimes it's hard, like sometimes we don't want to hurt people's feelings, but not saying something is really detrimental to the employee. And when we go through all of the thing that really pops out is that these practices are good for everybody, not just for neurodistinct individuals. It's good for your neurotypical employees as well. Yeah, we talked about personality-based interviews. We definitely don't want to do that anymore. You know, I hear, I've met with a HR company or recruitment company, I should say, and it was a really insightful conversation. They were very honest. It said, you know, sometimes we were just like, I just really felt like I connected on a personal level with that person, so I'm going to hire them. I said, we just have to stop doing that because you're not going to hire the person who's going to be the best fit for the job. So next steps, I think for us, we really wanted to see the expansion of the understanding of what neurodiversity is. And even when I talk about the individual with firefighter that we work with autism, I mean, there's such a broad spectrum, right? We've got individuals who come to our adult groups, and actually my lady who I was talking about, who's the engineer, she's in our adult groups, but then we also provide support for individuals who have a lot of high-need support. And it's just understanding that when you're talking about employing people who are neurodivergent or who have a disability, that doesn't always mean an intellectual disability, and being neurodivergent doesn't always mean that someone identifies as having a disability as well. So it's just broadening our conceptualization of what employing individuals who think and learn differently looks like. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I can take that out.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. So excited. Yeah. Yeah, this one I need some new. Pretty much, yeah, it was fun today. Sure.
Because there are. So that's why yeah, just separate here. So, yeah. 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 So I confidence and stuff, right? Yeah. And my kids have sure. Yes. And they're, we also, yeah. And absolutely. Something where you just said at the time, and saying it's not pretty on and how it is to back. And we're well, actually, we have individual things, like the, so yeah, it's just is that how teachers are concerned. Supported. So we're gonna go into that space, like today, got running, so like we wasn't have like personal development, on the type of programming. But like, everything is. You're not invented, you do this for yourself, but providing the services for things. That's right. Putting on the staff, you know, like it's different things, maybe like 1,000 full of value. Yeah, like, you said, so they'll be trying to, so they're like,
So we love to do about.
No, no, it's not an easy question.
Very different. Oh, I was not, yeah. So when people in one, I'm like, let's get.
Because it's what everybody wanted to talk to me, and just wants to kind of, okay.
I'm not. So before I did CT, 6 months, yeah, we're not. But it changes. That's not. But anyway, all right, so even if it's not an idea, it's up to the individual, but I'll look at no harm. It's like, I mean, I have to leave the blanket, you know, a screen there. Yeah. Like, it's not a lot of money, but it's, you know. Yeah. That's the one that I mean, I absolutely. It's really what I care about. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, you can get access. Yeah, like maybe on that. On that one. I'm being good like this. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I have looking at market. They're more, maybe worse than that. I love the so sort of, you know, sort of like, yes, I was giving, yeah, because I was straight, so yeah. And then I'm like, I'm from like, I'm kind of like, oh, you know, yeah, we made the first yeah. I love that. Oh, here. Oh, they was never doing that. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. They were all like, yeah. But the next day, they never got there, they're really convergent. We're fine. If you're missing that, I don't know. That's what I did. Yeah. Oh, you Thank you. Great. Here you are.
Dude. I'm stuck. Like silence is not good. No, no. Bidu, bidu.